Hi. Section tools extend the Rhino clipping a plane functionality and generate a three-dimensional section geometry and dynamic 2D projections or layouts that update with model changes. The workflow involves three aspects. First, create the 3D sections. Second, create the 2D layouts. Third, view the sections in three-dimensional space and orient your view and C-plane to it. You can edit sections and layouts and also update when ready. You can also extract static 3D sections and 2D layouts. You can also make projections that show the section and the objects behind it as well. Section properties can be edited, the objects, the section, as well as the section hint. You can move the sections or delete them, and also you can generate basic reports about the overall dimensions and area of your sections. If you don't have Section Tools installed already, then you can get it in Rhino 7 using the Package Manager command. There you can search for Section Tools, select, and usually get the version that shows here. But if you need an older version, then you can use the drop-down. Click Install, click OK, restart Rhino, and then next time you open, you will see the Section Tools menu. Also under Tools, Toolbar Layout, you will see Section Tools Toolbar. You just need to check it in order to load. This is the link where the toolbars are saved. The first step is to create the 3D dynamic sections, one section or multiple sections. And the command to do that is stcreate, which is the first one here. You will be prompted to select the objects you want to section through, or press Enter to section through all visible objects. Note that if you choose to press Enter, then anytime you update your section, it will go ahead and use the visible objects in order to create the updated section. I'll press Enter. There are a few options here. Most notably is the direction, which is horizontal, vertical, or custom direction relative to the active C-plane where you will place your section. There is the extrude direction, which is C-plane normal by default, but you can have a custom direction set up. You can define the prefix of your section name, the number of sections, let's put 3 in this case, the spacing between them, if you want the sections to show both sides, and these two additional options show only when you have more than one section. One important option is the attributes. It's a from source by default, which takes the material and color of the object you section. If that object is set by layer, it takes the attributes of that layer. You can set the solid mode to none, which means you just output the curves, the 3D curves of your section. If you set it to surfaces, it will output the intersection surface if you have a closed curves through any of the objects. Hatches will create a hatch. Let's set it to hatch and set the hatch pattern to one of the default hatches. These are loaded hatches. If you have none of the hatches loaded, it usually shows only the solid. You need to run the hatch command to load the default hatches. Let's do hatch 1 with the rotation 45 and the scale 1 is good. The label is related to the hint or the section line and section name, whether you want to show it or not. And if you set the arrow scale to more than 0, then you will see an arrow at the ends of your section indicating the direction of your section. Load from file allow you to set up a text file where you name your sections and also their elevation relative to the insertion point. Now let's press Enter. And as you can see, there are 3 sections showing in the preview. If you drag them outside any of the objects you may section, it turns into red. Let's snap to the center of the first one. As you can see, these sections were created in 3-dimensional space. And let me just hide the objects that we sectioned. And as you can see, the outline of the sections and the hatch is created in 3D space. And we can see all the 3 section hints indicating their direction and names. Let me show all the sectioned objects, but also turn on the sub-D layer, which adds 2 more columns to my sections. Now, if I update my section using SectionTools Update All Sections, you will notice that now we have sectioned as well through the added object, the sub-D object. Remember, when we created the sections, we set it to section through all visible objects. Now these sections are created in separate layers where the clipping plane is saved inside each section and is hidden. And this is by design. If you need to move one of the sections, for example, you go Section Tools, Move Sections, you select your section, and then press Enter, and then I'll start moving it to cut through the back of my columns. As you can see, it has updated as well. If you want to delete one of the sections, for example, this one, you can either delete the layer itself or use SectionTools Delete Sections. Select the section you'd like to delete, press Enter. As you can see, it was deleted as a layer and the whole section was deleted. We can update all sections to see that we no longer have a section 01. The next step is to generate the 2D layouts of our sections. The command is create 2D layouts. As you can see, it is indicated to be dynamic. That means when we update our model, the layouts update dynamically as well. Create layout, you can select the section you'd like to extract the 2D projections for. Press Enter, and then you are prompted to place it anywhere within your model space. As you can see, there is a grid point and is set to the center in this case. And then there are options about the label, whether to show the hatch, to show the solid, and if you want to apply the same options on all of your layouts. Now, I'll just place it here. And as you can see, I have my layout. I can see that my hatch is very fine, and I might want to change that hatch scale. To do that, you can edit your sections. In this case, I want to edit my section 00. I select my section, and then when I'm changing here the scale of my hatch from 1 to 2, press Enter, and as you can see, the layout updated and the hatch in 3D space also updated here. The other section still has the fine hatch. If you would like to hide the layout name, for example, you can go ahead and edit the 2D layout. You select the section you want to edit, and now we can hide the label. We can actually change the insertion point as well as the grip point. Let's change the grip to be minimum, which is the bounding box minimum point of your layout, and change the placement point to be, for example, to snap to this point. As you can see, I snapped to the corner as well as hid the label for that layout. Another important functionality is to be able to clip or align your view to the section view. STView sections is the command that does that. Suppose we want to clip to section 02. Select the section you want to clip to and the view you want to clip at. As you can see, we set up the clip to be yes, the clear other sections, that if any other section is active within that view, just to clear it, and then set the view to be yes. And what happened here is that our perspective view aligned with the section view, and set the C-plane to no. Let me zoom out here. I can rotate the view, of course, but I can run the command one more time if I want to align with the view. Before doing that, let's hide the sections hint. Section tool, edit section hint. I will select both sections, press Enter, apply to all, and instead of showing, hide both the curve and the text. Press Enter, and this is probably more presentable. Anytime you want to select a section, the section hint will temporarily show. For example, if you want to move a section, you can select your section and move it. Without having the hint showing. Now, oftentimes you want to go back to your section view without having to run stview sections command. You can save your sections to named views using the save views command. Let's save our section 02. Select, press enter, and then save it both to the named views and named seaplanes. Press enter. Now if you go to the named views, you will see a view with the name of the section. If we click on it, then we can align to that particular view. If you go to named seaplanes, then you have both sections saved in the named seaplane. If you double click on it, you will see that your seaplane has been aligned with the section view, where you can basically create geometry, for example, rectangle, to frame your 3D section. And this can come very handy. You can always go back to the world top. Now, suppose you'd like to create an elevation of your model. Let me first clear all the section views. Clear views, select the section, and select the viewport to clear it from. Let me also hide the two sections. Suppose you would like to create the southeast elevation of your section. Let's create a section that doesn't actually cut through your model, and it has a custom direction that goes 45 degrees, and we'll create only one section in this case, or elevation. And the solid mode, I'll just keep it to none, but it doesn't matter because it's not cutting through any of the sections. I'll press enter. As you can see, the arrow direction is pointing the opposite direction. Just click flip. And now I'll be able to create my southeast elevation using the StCreate command. The name of this section now is SEC01, but we might want to change it to maybe elevation 00. You can simply change the name of the layer, and that will change the section name itself. Next time you update your sections, you will notice that the ELV00 has been updated as the name of your elevation. I'll make sure my sections are hidden because I would like to create a projection of my elevation. In order to create the elevation, you will need to use the Make 2D projections instead of the Create 2D layout. The Create 2D layout is when you are sectioning through objects, and it only extracts these intersections, while the Make 2D projections will create the section if it exists and all the objects that is in the scene as well that you can see. So I will use Make 2D projections. I'll select my elevation, press enter, and then set the options to show the hidden lines, no tangents, and no overall outline. Press enter. As you can see, my elevation has been created. I can go ahead and change the attributes of my elevation. But the section lines are set to red. I don't have any sections, visible lines. I can set the print width to be a hairline, and the hidden line also to be a hairline thickness, as well as change it to be a hidden line dashed. If you zoom in, you see that the scale of the dash is very fine and it looks continuous from here. There are a few lines that seem to be hidden. It's just because we eliminated or we didn't output the tangent curves. So maybe we want to rerun the command. As long as we don't change the elevation, make 2D the name of the layer and the sublayers, when we rerun the STMake2D, it will overwrite, clear all the geometry here, and create a new one. Let's do that. Section tool, make 2D projections. Let's select our elevation. And then let's add the tangent in this case. Let's also add the outline. Press enter. As you can see, we have added the overall outline that was calculated by the hidden line drawing for each of these objects, and it was set to be that blue color. Let's hide it for now just to see if the update is proper with all the objects. Let me hide the hidden as well. And as you can see, my elevation is properly showing all the details of my elevation. You can also extract static 3D sections using the extract 3D sections command. You select your section, press enter. You can extract the curves, the surfaces, or the slices. Let's extract the curves only to start with. Press enter. And now this is not dynamic. This is a static copy of my section. So for example, if I hide my sub-D layer and update all the sections, the dynamic 3D sections have been updated while the static extract or copy has not. Let me turn it back on again and update the sections using the toolbars. Let's extract the surfaces and also the slices. Select the section, and this time let's extract the surfaces. Press enter. Now notice that when you extract a slice, if you are cutting through a mesh object, in this case, the extracted plane is also a mesh, while the rest of the objects that are either NURBS, sub-Ds, or extrusions, they all extract as NURBS objects. However, they retain the attributes of the sectioned objects. Let's run one more time and extract the slices. Maybe a thin slice, 0.2, press enter, and this is our slice. Again, this is a mesh object, and the rest are NURBS objects. Suppose you need to create a 3D model of one of your columns. You can use section tools to create the sections through the column and then create projections of the 2D sections on the XY plane. Let's first create the sections. Through the column, number of sections, perhaps 28, with the spacing of 0.5. The name, call it A. No need to show any of the labels. And press enter. Now I can see all these sections. Snap to the bottom of your column in the front view. Now all these sections are created from A00 to A27. If we hide our objects, you can see that all these sections have been created. Now all we need is to lay it on the XY plane with a certain kind of dimension to be able to laser cut your sheet. The best command to use here is the Nest 2D layout. Let's select all these sections. Press enter. And yes, let's arrange the horizontally with the spacing between each one and the next, maybe 0.2. The overall width of your sheet, 10 units, sounds right. Have a label, yes. When the label tag, have it to be a text, and locate the label inside our shape. Let's select a point. And then, as you can see, all these sections are created. However, the labels are really big, and this has to do with the setting or annotation. Let's run options command and look at the text height, which is one whole unit, really big. 0.1 perhaps is very appropriate to what we need here. Okay. As you can see, all your shapes are laid out horizontally and not exceeding a certain size, which is the width, the overall width of 10 units that we placed, and everything is labeled from A00 to A26. Once it's cut, then with that label etched on your material, you will have all the ordered pieces that you can stack to recreate your model.